Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Rainbow Arcade and Queer Black Excellence Summit. We are going to be bringing in our new panel today called Coming Out on Twitch. My name is Lisa Kreveling, and I go by KrevLM on Twitch, and I'm joined by some fantastic members of the LGBT community here to share their experiences about their own coming out. Without further ado, let's get into introducing all of our wonderful panelists. Bloody, let's go ahead and start with you.
Me? Hello. Hi, everybody. I am Bloody Faster, and I'm super happy to be here. This is my first time participating in anything LGBTQ related since I came out officially. So, hey, it's good to be here, and I'm so happy to be able to talk with all of you and with people in chat. Yeah.
All right, and Dubu?
I'm Dubu. I'm asexual, aromantic, and agender, and I use they, them pronouns. I'm also Australian, one of the only Australians on this team. And yeah, I like streaming lots of games like VR and story, indie games, stuff like that.
And how about you, Chips?
Hello, everyone. My name is Topaz. That's my full first name, but everybody just calls me Topes. I am she, her pronouns. I'm an out lesbian from the Bay Area, California. And I'm really excited to be a part of the Rainbow Arcade, and just being new and learning all these cool things has just been super exciting. And I'm super, super happy to be here.
Excellent. How about you, Dave?
You said Dave?
Yeah, Dave, sorry.
Hey, all right, a little nervous. I was like, all right. Hey, everybody. My name is Day to Dave. My favorite catchphrase is day to day with Day to Dave because I stream every day. And honestly, a little nervous, excited to be here, really glad to be a part of the stream team. Gay male, go by he, him. And yeah, just glad to be here. I play a lot of horror games, stream a lot. Seems counterintuitive, but it's a lot of fun.
Excellent. And Ella, how about you?
Hi there, my name is Ella. My Twitch name is Cafe Ella. I go by she, her pronouns. I'm pansexual. I work in the daytime as a UX designer for Ubisoft, and in the evenings I stream Cozy Comfy Games on Twitch. So I have a very lovely community, and I love to hang out and have conversation.
Excellent. And Kyle.
Hi there, my name is Kyle. I go by Kinetic on Twitch. I use he/him pronouns. I have been a part of the Rainbow Arcade for a while now, and I really am excited to talk about my coming out process with you all today. My community is focused on love and inclusivity and all those good things. So yeah, I'm excited to hang out with everyone tonight and talk about coming out.
Excellent. Well, we've got a pretty full panel here today. We're going to be talking about a lot of our individualistic experiences and kind of how that has kind of shaped our experiences here on Twitch, as well as within our own communities. So I kind of wanted to start out with something a little bit more of like an icebreaker, so to speak. So when did you guys know, like the moment that you knew when you realized that you were your true self? What did that look like to you? Feel free to jump in, whoever's ready.
Me,
That's a hard question. That's a hard question.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god. I feel like for me, I knew when I was young, and then I kind of forgot, or maybe I forced myself to forget, if that makes any sense, because my environment was just very much against like homosexuality, anything that had to do like being bisexual, anything that had to do anything other than the very traditional man with a woman, and that's it, end of story. They have babies and they live happily ever after. So yeah, I kind of let that part of me, like not die, but hid it, like in the closet. And I feel like people who met me during these past few years knew before I did. Like they're like, yeah, it was kind of obvious, like we're not hiding it. Like, yeah, I wasn't trying to hide it, but yeah, I think that finally, after seeing a lot of people come out and share their experiences, I think that's when it clicked inside me that, hey, it's okay. It's okay to finally do it. That was my experience.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the same for me. Like, I specifically remember being very young in elementary school. it's like people around me knew, and it took me a long time to realize it, but I literally like had friends who were women, like girls in school, and I would get so like upset like when they weren't paying attention to me, or like if they went to go play with somebody else or something like that. And once I got older, I kind of realized, maybe I actually had like crushes on them or something like that. Like, and just the fact that, I was always kind of like tomboyish growing up in school. It was like people knew, like I never really said anything about it until I, got to college, but it was very young, definitely like elementary school. It very specifically, it was just always there. So
I think if I can jump in here, I think it was very similar for me, like growing up in this like very heteronormative environment where things are really not as open as they should be. I think like you don't really consider it for yourself. You're like, like that's not a thing. Like you hear about it, but you're like not in that environment. So you're like not considering it for yourself. Now, looking back, I know each and every single situation where, I really was crushing on a girl or like something that was not a cis male. It makes so much sense now looking back, but you're really like forced into this like to hide it because heteronormativity, that is just how you grow up. That's what you see in the movies, that's what you read in the books, that's just like everything you're surrounded with. So I feel like you're not considering it for yourself, and that's how it was with me. But in a way, I always knew that that I was not just straight.
For me, it's really similar to all three of you all's story. I really, in my opinion, I honestly didn't know and start to accept it more until college. But beforehand, like middle school and high school, it sounds so silly, but it's like, dang, I really admired this male. Like, I really want to be friends with him. It's just like you just realize how much you like, oh, I want to get their attention. I want to hang out. I want to play basketball. And I'm just thinking like, wow, I just merely must like in the way I would look up to an idol in a sense of just look up to this person. But it's like, no, that was a crush. I just didn't necessarily know that's what it was. And in a similar environment, I come from a very, very religious family where honestly, that just isn't okay. So in my mind, that's not okay. I date girls, which is what I did. And I just never considered the fact like, oh, I could date a guy, or oh, this is a crush. It's just this is somebody I really want to be my friend in this case. So I didn't learn until the latter half of college, and I even will arguably say accepted it in graduate school in recent years.
Yeah, I would say that my experience was pretty similar in that I dated a couple of girls in high school and was like, why is this not working for me? Why are these relationships not working? And I grew up in a very heteronormative situation where, people didn't really talk about the LGBTQI plus community at all. And I kind of like sort of saw myself as like sort of someone that didn't really know what I wanted. Like I thought maybe I didn't really want to pursue a romantic relationship with someone because these relationships with women weren't working for me. And it sort of took until me going to college and sort of being able to open up my horizons a little bit more and kind of step away from that environment and that enclosed space before I actually was able to kind of come more to terms with it. So very similar to what you guys have said so far as well.
Mine was pretty similar, but because well, everyone, I think like I went through a lot of I tried different labels kind of thing. Like I was like, oh, I'll try this. No, that's not it. I'll try this. That's not it. So like I didn't realize that I was ace until I Googled. I didn't even Google, like I didn't know it existed. I Googled like how I felt on Google, and I went through like a lot of things, and then it was like there, just the word BAM with the description. I was like, finally, after all these years, something that makes sense. So it's like similar, but yeah, I didn't know it even existed for me. So it was pretty hard to find all that.
Yeah, I can imagine that's definitely a challenge when, especially, there's so many people that understand like the first part of the acronym, but they don't really go into the latter parts, the asexuality, the intersex, all that kind of stuff as well that goes into it. And it's really interesting that like we can Google that kind of stuff and find it and finally feel like we've got a place within ourselves, which is really awesome. Y'all have these fantastic stories. And then for me, when I was a kid, I realized I didn't realize it until I was much, much older, but the thing that basically told me I was gay is Jennifer Aniston in Friends. So I realized I was like, there's something here. So yeah, I was like, at that point, like I knew that I idolized her, and I was like, this is really awesome. And it was just one of those things where it's just like, okay, maybe I like her. Okay. Oh wait, I'm gay. So it was just kind of one of those like funny things I like left it to, like, it was much later on. I didn't come out until I was like 26, 27. Something like that. So I've only been out for a couple of years, and it's just really funny, like little things like that. I was like, oh man, I should have put 2 and 2 together like way earlier.
Yeah.
So it was always kind of
Pop
funny
culture
to,
for sure. Pop culture and music videos. Like I feel like
Yeah.
any of us, like when we were young, like you see, your favorite famous person or like music videos, like back in the day, for sure.
Yes, the
And-
concept is so relatable. Like, yeah, I'm
And
familiar.
I mean, isn't that I'm sorry if I'm making the segue to that too early, but I feel like it just ties into it very, very well. Like representation, that is why it matters, because growing up and not seeing yourself anywhere is going to make you think that, hey, maybe I'm not normal. Maybe I should change who I am and what I want and what I feel to be able to fit in with the rest of the people. Because that's
Yeah.
the easy thing to do, right? And I'm not going to put myself out of this. I took the easy way out. Easy. Well, in quotation marks, easy. So as to not challenge my family, so as to not challenge my friends, right? My circle.
Mm.
When you grow up, and I felt, so I am bisexual, and I had a crush on my best friend in elementary school, and I kind of convinced myself that, hey, it wasn't a crush, it was just, you just felt really close to her, like it was a good friendship. Okay, well, which it wasn't, but I was, in an environment that used slurs to describe lesbians almost daily. Like you would see
Yeah.
a girl, maybe kiss a girl, like the Greek slur, because I'm from Greece. So the Greek slur is like, okay, and I used it too. And I used it, myself, right? And now I look back, I'm like, wow, holy crap. Like I was so into this whole thing that I was literally against myself.
Mm.
And that's what lack of representation does to people.
I think it's also very, very, like when you're in your teenage years, all you want to do is fit in. Like you just want to fit in. You just want to find this validation, acceptance from others. And if there's no one who is like you, well, how are you going to get that? So I think it's a very, very normal thing to like just try to adapt somehow. And I also think that's the reason why so many of us only like, realize in their 20s that we actually have a different path to go and a different environment to foster. And luckily now things have changed, which is not like we're not there yet, but things are definitely getting better, I want to say, with representation. And that really is, like, I think it's awesome, because now the young us in their teenage years are going to have like these role models to look up to that are going to tell them that there's actually nothing wrong with them. And I also want to I wanted to chime in on because I'm from Germany, so we had those slurs as well. It was really, really, really painful, because it also like used very harmful stereotyping, like especially towards if we take that example, like lesbians, always like, very tomboyish, very masculine, and like also very aggressive. And I think like now looking back, that's like, you're like, wow, oh my God, how was that even a thing? That is like, it's so
Right.
harmful.
Mhm.
It's unbelievable.
Just to chime in, that's why I feel like things like this and everybody streaming and being open in whatever sense they're comfortable with is so important, because I arguably would say, at least for me, that if I were watching this 10 years ago, I would have been like, oh, it's okay to be me. Because I'll call myself out when I was younger from a religious perspective, family, friends, it just wasn't okay. Like, ooh, I don't mess with that, knowing that, oh, I kind of identify with that, but I gotta denounce it, or I can't support it, or this isn't me. I'll get with a girl instead, being forced to do that versus getting to a point in life to be like, it's okay. And the people that are okay with you be okay, great. People that aren't, wish them well. You don't have to harbor ill will, but just, do your thing over there. I'm going to continue to stay in the space and create a space for others and myself to flourish in.
Yeah, being able to take yourself out of a space that you're in that is toxic or that doesn't accept you for who you are, and being able to insert yourself into a space that does love and accept you allows you to kind of take that next step. And I think that Twitch, and that's one of the biggest reasons I stream personally, is because creating a space like that for people, like that's something that people don't always get in the space that they're physically in. And I think it's really cool that we're all able to create spaces like that that are not only unique to like our own personal struggles and the personal things that we've gone through, but also allowing other people to kind of come together and share on the things that make their experience unique. And I think that's why these things are so powerful. And I think I agree with Ella's sentiment that like things are getting a lot better. And I think Twitch as well is just making things a lot easier for people, especially right now during the pandemic. So
Exactly. I think one of the biggest things that I've loved seeing recently, I am catching up on TV shows and movies and all those things now, and it's like the last 3 TV shows that I watched all had bisexual representation, and I was like, man, I feel seen. I feel so seen right now. And I was just like, oh my gosh, he's gay, and I'm just over here clapping on my couch. And it's just it's a big deal. It's a big change for those of us who may not have seen that or may not had a person that we could talk to like in real life live, and being able to have that conversation with them, but being able to see that like, oh, this is being portrayed as normal, like this, there's no one shunning them, there's no one doing this or that. And that's been like, it's so good to see that. We still have a very, very long way to go, but it definitely is something that's really good to see that they're making like a conscious effort to kind of push forward with. Yeah,
Definitely. I had 2 shows that I got through was Ratchet, and I was like, oh my God, like this is
No, that
great.
show was
And
good.
then Bly Manor on Netflix. Yeah, the
Mhm.
representation is like super, it's like super refreshing to see. So
Yeah, Ratchet, Bly Manor, and the 100 are the 3
Yeah.
that I was referencing to. So
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah.
Yeah. So I really like to see that. So I'm glad that they're taking those kind of steps to normalize it, because it's normal. It is absolutely normal. So like, let's just inform the rest of the world that yeah, it's normal.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's segue into let's do our next question. So what was your experience like with the LGBT community before you were out? Were you heavily involved in the LGBT community? Did you actively support it? Were you an ally? Did you kind of distance yourself? What was your individual experiences with the community kind of before you kind of decided to come out?
Well, since I touched on it a bit, for me, originally, I'd say younger, it's just wrong. Like I'll just say that honestly, just my religion, my family, friends. I originally know. And then as I started to get older, even prior to coming out, it's like, sport, that's what they do over there. Me, it's not necessarily me. That's cool. So I'm not gonna say I necessarily supported it per se. I didn't like I grew to learn that I shouldn't denounce or say anything like that. But at that time before coming out, it just was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, for me, just being from the Bay Area, like you have San Francisco and all that. So I definitely grew up near San Francisco. So it was always like very apparent in my life. And I also had, family members who were out when I was young as well. And then when I came to college, I actually pledged a co-ed fraternity. And a good amount of the members at the time were LGBTQIA. And this was at a time where I wasn't out, but being like surrounded by so many who were, and just feeling comfortable with them kind of made myself, like my own self, realize, my own self basically. So I was kind of always surrounded by it, but pledging the organization that I did really put me closer to the LGBTQ community, and just kind of like opened my own self up to kind of considering, my own feelings and where to go with them. So
I feel like my experience was kind of similar to yours, Topes, the way you described it. In the sense that before I officially came out a few months ago, I had surrounded myself in my community with people who are like, I'm not going to say the majority because I don't have the stats, but a lot of them. A lot of them are members of the LGBTQ community. And, I wanted to make them feel as welcome as possible and make them feel safe. So I tried to create safe spaces for those people and let them know that, hey, no matter what, I'm here and I'm going to protect you, and fight for you. And that, like, nothing changed for me, whether I was out or not. Like, that was my stance and that remains my stance. Even if right now I was standing here saying, hey, you know what, I'm straight, even then I would still be fighting for the LGBTQ rights, but yeah, I feel having all these wonderful people and streamers and people with influence just going out on social media and saying, hey, you know what? I am bisexual, I'm pansexual, I am asexual, it just gave me so much strength. And it just, in my head, it was this huge deal coming out. It felt like it was a mountain that I had to climb, and then finally one day I woke up and I realized, hey, I'm already at the top. Because for me, the mountain is actually getting to that point where you know who you are. So I had already done the work, I climbed it, and now here I am, boom. And that felt so nice. That felt so fucking good. I'm sorry. F-bomb.
We get one per
Great.
stream. That's
One.
it.
I'm sorry. It had to be me. It had to be me. You know it. Okay. Now I'm gonna stop.
I wasn't very involved with the LGBTQIA plus community before coming out. I would say, and I'll touch on this more later. I know we'll probably touch on this more later on in this stream, but I think that my distance from the LGBTQIA plus community before was kind of a hindrance in my coming out process. And I think that if I were to give advice to people who are, trying to explore options in their life or explore themselves and try to figure out who they are, to be open to other communities and things, because I definitely was not. Similar to Dave's situation, I grew up in a very religious household. I went to a very religious college, and a lot of people in my surrounding space were very against the LGBTQI plus community and against what it stood for and everything, and thought it was a choice and all. I don't have to go down on that. I don't have to go down all of that, but for me, like, after I started participating more in the community, I started to realize like how many resources there are out there, how many good people there are out there, and how many different, paths and situations that people have to embark on in order to really find themselves. And it really was eye-opening for me. So yeah.
For me, growing up, like I knew one person in my school that was gay. So it was very like, I had no exposure to it at all. I didn't know, about all the different labels or anything. I wasn't part of the community at all. Like I supported it. Like, I mean, I accepted it. I was fine with it, but I wasn't integrated in there at all. Even when I realized I was ace, I didn't get into the community because being ace especially, there was a lot of gatekeeping, people saying that, you're, because you have a lack of sexual attraction, or that you are not part of the community. So there was a few things like that to get through. Once I was more confident in myself, I started diving into the community, but I still didn't have any ace friends, so I still felt pretty alone even in the community. Like I had plenty of good friends, but I wasn't really close with any of them yet. So I think Rainbow Arcade has really helped with that. So now I have like so many awesome friends. So I'm glad that I have Rainbow Arcade now. But yeah, it took me a while to get more involved in the community.
Understandable.
Mm.
Anyone else have anything else to add?
My own experience was like prior to this, I was really lucky in my teen years to be around LGBT friends. But I was always like kind of viewing it more from an outside perspective. And I think looking back, religion was a big thing. I grew up very Christian, as some of you all. So it's more like, oh, you're looking at it from the outside, and I was always supporting it. So I want to think of myself as an ally, even though I do believe that that judgment should be up to the community you're supporting, if you're an ally or not. So I don't know if I should assign that to myself. But I think I was at that point of self-erasure a lot already in my teen years, prior to, just being in this heteronormative environment. And then when I started Twitch, I realized very quickly as well that I wanted my stream to be a very safe space. And to this day, that is something I value the most, like hearing all the perspectives and hearing the stories of people in my chat who want to share their perspective with me. And I think that also ultimately led me through like this entire journey of coming out and accepting myself for the person that I am. So I'm very, very grateful for Twitch, and very grateful for you all.
Yeah, it's definitely a wonderful platform, especially when we can use it to amplify voices and make safe places around the internet, which is great. I think for myself too, I before I realized I was bisexual, I was very much so in the community. A lot of my friends were in the community. A lot of my friends were going through these struggles, and I was like, what can I do to help? Like, I'm in here, I got my work gloves on, I'm going to do whatever I can from the outside to help you guys. So I feel like I was very kind of on the same path as you, Bloody, where like supportive, but then like joined it later. But you were always kind of there on the sidelines in the beginning. So that was for me one of those things where, I was already ingrained in the community so much, and it made me realize who I was rather than like getting into it after I realized who I was. So I really love that kind of aspect for it. And that actually kind of brings us into a new segue into our next question. So for those of you guys who had come out at a later time, or had come out to or come out before, either way, what was your experience like telling your viewers and telling your community? For those of you guys who came out during your time out, obviously, and those of you guys who came out with being upfront, like very in the beginning.
I mean, if I could say mine, I guess it's a little story as to why, if that's all right. But I came out last year, June. Ironically, I'm sure most of all of us know Little Nas X, Old Town Road song. So he put a tweet out there, and I'm gonna paraphrase it because that's profanity, I guess. Like basically saying, some of y'all know, some of y'all don't know. If you still mess with me, cool. But basically that he was gay. And around that time, I really resonated with that tweet because I was just at the point to say, I don't want to wonder if you would still be my friend by knowing I'm gay or not. So quick story, I'll try to keep it short. The first person I came out to was a extremely close friend of 9 years when I was probably like 25. We went to the same college, grad school, saw each other daily, game daily, etc. And I told him, and then I swear it was the next day after, it's just that friendship just dwindled. He didn't want to hang out as much. The communication was off. We had some of the same classes. Now I'm kind of busy. It just started to go down. I'm like, I wonder if it's because of that. Later in life, I did learn that it was. But when you think about that, if the first person you tell that you're close to reacts in such a negative way, how will other people react that don't know you as well? How will family react? How will other friends? How I streamed at the time too. I was 2 years into streaming. How will your viewers react? Do they mess with you because you're straight and you give off, I guess, this aura in the sense of it? Because so with that in my mind, it made it that much harder to come out. And that's one of the main reasons I didn't, because I just didn't want to deal with whatever potential aftermath. So at that point, when I saw that tweet, I was like, you know what? I feel just like this. I'm quote tweeting it. Hey, everybody, same for me too. If you're cool with me, cool. If not, whatever. And I just went to bed. And that reaction, the amount of replies, love, DMs, text messages from everybody saying we still care for you, we love you, it doesn't change a thing, was just so big to me, because I was like, wow, that didn't change it. That was just that first one instance that's not everybody in your life. So it was positive overall for me.
That's
I
awesome.
remember
That's a
that
great
tweet.
story.
Yep, Ella, I saw your comment too.
I
I was big.
know.
I was so scared.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was so proud of you. Seriously.
Thank you. Thank you.
Super proud.
Yeah, that was a great story, by the way. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned it earlier for me, but for me, I just said it, and then people were like, "Yeah, I'm proud of you, super proud of you," and then a lot of people said, "Well, we already knew, but good for you for saying it out loud." Which I am like, okay, yeah, it was obvious, but for me, it didn't matter if it was obvious or not. For me, it mattered that I actually say the words, because I feel that actually saying the words for yourself does help in accepting who you are. It's like I would not dare say the words "I am bisexual." I didn't dare, even in my like in my inside monologue. I wouldn't dare say that about myself. That's how much like the heteronormative environment had poisoned me. But yeah, the community was super 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 supportive, and I dare say even more so than before. Like, I not only did I not lose people, well, I might have, but I don't care. Like, I'm not even thinking about the people lost. I'm thinking about the people who feel seen, supported, who feel safe. I worry about those people, and if these people are good, then I'm good. Like, I want to keep people around me that think like me, in the sense that they love everyone no matter their sexual preference. Okay, no matter what they want to identify as. Like, those are the people I want to keep close, and the rest, they can go.
Yeah, for me, I'm very much like, how do I say it? I'm pretty much like the new kid at school when it comes to Twitch and everything. Like, I've gamed for forever, but I've only recently discovered Twitch and like all of you and like all this magnificent stuff like last year. And so when I decided to take it seriously, one of the things that I kept in mind is already, you know, finding communities that were accepting from the beginning, you know what I mean? So it wouldn't be too difficult. So communities like Rainbow Arcade and a lot of streamers that I'm fans of had already cultivated, very welcoming and very accepting communities. And now that I'm kind of, building a small community on my own, I remember I recently participated in another event on Twitch, and I have my, giant lesbian flag over here, and it's always here. Like, I stream with it, everyone sees it. And recently, somebody in chat finally asked me, like, what does that flag mean? And like, I felt a little scared, to explain it, and I pretended like I didn't see it. But when I became a member of Rainbow Arcade, it just gave me that like boost of confidence. Like one day when I was streaming, to be like, yeah, I'm a lesbian. Here it is. This is me. If I don't see you guys again, fine. But this is it. This is what it is, and this is who I am. So it just started with just finding communities who I already felt comfortable with and who I knew were going to accept me no matter what. So
Yeah, my coming out process was a little bit more drawn out. I started streaming on Twitch about 5 years ago, and then I took a few breaks in between, but I started out and was not out at all. And then about a year and a half ago, I kind of started the process of slowly coming out. Eventually, I like introduced the LGBTQI plus tag onto my streams, didn't really say anything, and kind of waited for people to sort of like say something. And I just like kind of kept going that way and kind of wanted to test the waters and see sort of what happened. I noticed that a lot of people were very supportive, and I didn't really have that many people leave my channel from the community as I sort of transitioned into being fully out on Twitch. I would say when I joined the Rainbow Arcade, that was like the real like, okay, this is when things are this is when I'm officially coming out, and this is like me officially saying like, I am a gay streamer, like I am here to support everyone in the LGBTQI plus community. I already was, but this is like me stepping into that, I guess. And I would say, like, I wish I didn't take so long, but it is what it is. Everyone has their own journey, but I definitely think that, you know, just like Taupe said, I think the Rainbowcade really helped a lot in kind of giving me that confidence to say, like, this is who I am. You either take it or you leave it. I don't care. Like, and I'm here to support other people to feel the same way about themselves. So,
For me, took me a while. I think I don't know if I actually formally came out like with like a tweet or something on Twitter, but today is actually my 5-year anniversary of coming out as ace. So
Yay! Congratulations!
It took me a while to integrate that into my streams, I guess. Like I was, you know, I was out, but I didn't speak about it. I didn't talk about it until maybe 2 years ago. So it took me a while to be comfortable with talking about it. But once I opened up and actually started talking about it on stream, I had some aphobia in chat, like the classic, you know, like, oh, you just haven't found the right person. So a lot of that was in chat because my chat was mostly like my community was there was no one like from the LGBT community in my community. So they didn't understand. They asked me a lot of questions, like, you know, just general questions. A lot of people didn't understand, so it took me a lot of explaining, but those people have changed. I have educated them myself. Now they understand. So since then I've gotten so many fellow aces even on my channel. So it's really nice to see that. So I'm really happy now with where my community's at because I finally have people who understand, who I can talk to in my chat. I think I felt very closed in before because my community was very straight, let's say. So I didn't feel comfortable when I was streaming. And especially because I've come out 3 times. Agender was the last one. That one was the hardest, I think, because at that time my community was still not very LGBT. So took them all to understand that I was not just a girl. So that I was agender. So yeah, it was a bit of a struggle, but I'm glad I did it, and I'm very happy with where my community is now.
So proud of you.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Quite the journey.
absolutely.
Sure.
Mhm.
It's super important to curate your spaces because I feel like as creators we can do that and we should do that. You know, I think that it's definitely not worth keeping people in your communities that, you know, do not accept you or do not accept someone else, because it's not always about just you. It's about, okay, is this person accepting everyone else in the community? No, okay, bye. You know, it's I would say I encourage it, you know, like these people that are kind of borderline maybe, or you see them like tiptoeing around it, like I just say goodbye to these people
Yep,
too.
bye.
Like at this
Mhm.
point,
Absolutely.
it's like there's no excuse, right? There's no excuse. And if you want to be educated on these things, there are so many resources. I mean, there's one right now happening, right? This panel, but also billions of other resources available if you want to get educated. And then you can just talk to people. No, I'm sorry. I'm done.
No. No, I just wanted to
I'm
say.
kind of ranting at this point because
It's okay.
things make me so
No,
angry.
It's very valid.
Mhm.
However, I do believe that when you don't know that about yourself yet, it's not maybe that's not a focus you put on with your
For sure.
community, and
For sure.
that is not your fault. That is, you know, like it makes things tougher for sure. So I
Mhm.
think you can be even more proud of yourself to really like fight through that and like be true to who you are, and despite losing people, not losing yourself. And I think that is something to be very, very proud of. I think I've myself been very, very lucky with my own community, having LGBTQIA plus individuals in there, even though I didn't at that time see myself as part of the community. So I think I definitely had a way easier, and I've been very similar to Kyle. Like I've been so gay on social media. I don't even remember my first post. No.
No, stop that.
No, it just like came really like, just like slightly and a little bit like, but nobody was ever, like questioning it. Nobody gave me ever like a hard time about or making me feel invalid. So like, what do you want here now? Because, and that's really, really lucky. I have to give a shout out at this point to Jeff Brutlag, who had this heart-to-heart talk with me last year TwitchCon, and who really like encouraged me and told me about a bi erasure, which I didn't know that was a thing. And since then, I see things way more clearly, and I really like trust myself and my own feelings, and that's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, because I was already cultivating that space, it was just like a normal Tuesday. I was like, hey, by the way, I'm bisexual. And they're like, all right, we know. Okay. we know, let's just wrap this up. So it was just like, for me, I didn't hit any sort of like pushback at all. Like my community was already that cultivated space that I wanted. And it made that transition really, really easy for me, I think. And I feel very lucky to have such an awesome and accepting community for that aspect. Like, I was just like, I'm nervous about it, but I was never like to the point where I was super terrified about it. I feel like I've been very privileged in that aspect, like where I don't necessarily fear coming out to my community members or to my friends, because I keep those people close, and I keep the people that are tolerant and the people that are open and like accepting in my friend group. So like there's no one in my friend group that I was worried about, telling for that aspect. So that was super big and important for me. And it's just it's an unmatched feeling when you can just be like, they're like, yeah, we know, it's okay.
Mhm.
So I sympathize with you, buddy, with that aspect. There's like, okay, it's a Tuesday, we know, let's go. So it's like it's just kind of those fun aspects of it that are always so entertaining. So it's really interesting to kind of hear everybody's experiences, whether or not they've been positive or negative or kind of indifferent. It's important to kind of share those experiences, because not everyone's is going to be the same. My experience is not going to be the same as the next person's. And what I can do is I can offer that space and give them that platform where they can come out how they feel. And at least within my community, and I'm sure many others and all of yours, they can feel comfortable doing so and not feel judged or not feel outcasted or anything like that. So it's definitely a huge thing. Now I kind of want to segue into another question. And the reason why I want to talk about this, because it's a huge part of the LGBT community as well, mental health, and kind of where we were when we were bringing up these feelings and talking about them and bringing it forth on Twitch. So me personally, I came out on Twitch because my sister is trans. She's trans and pan and asexual. So it was one of those things where I watched her and I watched the struggles that she was going through that really made me want to amplify the voice even more. And at that point, like I knew I was bisexual, but I didn't come out as bisexual then. And it was just kind of one of those things like, I am going to fight for a safer existence for her. And in doing so, like at least raise and amplify voices that I think can be helpful. So my mental health was very, it wasn't necessarily fragile at that point, but I was very hard on myself for not coming out at that point, because like, I was like, my sister's so brave, like she's doing all this stuff, like, and I can't even imagine like what she's going through. And it was just like, it put like a weight on me. Like I need to be true to myself and I need to be, who I am in honor of her. So for me, that kind of mental health journey was a little bit of like riding the wave up and down. There were obviously some good points and some bad points in that. But I wanted to kind of gauge some of your guys' thoughts on like where your mental health was when you were thinking about coming out, once you came out, and how that changed.
Yeah, I think
Okay. Go ahead.
oh sorry.
No. Go.
I mean, just being just a woman, alone on Twitch can be, you know how that can be. So Coming, it was a little, I think it was more of a fearful for me in a sense, just because I'm already Black, I'm already a woman, so being a lesbian woman is, there's a lot of added layers of, kind of fear there. So there were times where, especially after like coming out, on that one stream, I was kind of afraid to go, get back on. Luckily, like one of my best friends who like helps me out and stuff, she was just like, you shouldn't worry about it. Like I already had people in places that I could go to, talk about what was going on and like how I was feeling about it and everything. And it was pretty nerve wracking. It was pretty rough. But ultimately I just remembered how much fun like this experience has been. Like, besides, all the negative stuff that we talk about and that needs to be talked about, and, we talk about it all the time, just the joyous parts of, just being involved and just watching everybody have fun, play games, and just being a part of the community was really what helped me kind of get my, snap my mind, out of that space and just say, just have fun and just be yourself and have fun, because, you're going to have those spaces to go and those people to back you up. So yeah, it was rough at first, but just taking in the positive aspects of this journey being on Twitch is kind of what pushes me to keep my mind out of that place of fear.
Oh, for me, I guess prior towards the coming out tweet, where my head was at is I honestly was just nervous, terrified, and debating like, should I even do this? What's the point? Like, it's not their business. But should I be just transparent about everything just to cultivate that environment? Like, I was weighing the pros and cons, and honestly, a lot of times I was like, there's no point to tweet this. Or even after I saw a tweet, I'm like, I need to hit delete. Maybe not that many people saw it. I'll be fine. So my head was everywhere. That's why I told you, like, shortly after, I'm like, I'm just going to bed because this tweet will get deleted if I look at this for another hour or so. But what made it easier for me to deal with the next day was that positive response, honestly. Then after that, I had to make sure, like, okay, well, mods, you all need to know. I think the funniest reaction from one of my mods I'm close with is I told him, he's like, oh, I didn't see a tweet. He's like, oh, okay, cool. So what you streaming tonight? Like, because he was just like, all right, like, I don't mind. We're friends, And even real life friends afterwards, it was that same response, like, oh, I had no idea. All right. And that just helped me continue to go forward to say, hey, as long as these people are treating me well in that sense, I'm fine. So it went from an extremely nervous moment to being like, this is okay. I'm going about my day and let's just keep going forward.
For me, before I tweeted out, I was doing some research. Let's say I was Googling, I was trying to see if there's more people like me out there that have spent, half of their lives not admitting that to themselves. Well, of course, there are a lot of them. And then I found this article by this woman who was really, really like almost to the point. Like, it was like I wrote this article, and this woman was in her 30s, just like I am, and she had only been in relationships with men, just like I have. And she was wondering if it's even worth it, if it's even like something that she should be thinking about. Should she come out of the closet? And that was the point of the article. Like, she doesn't know if it's, if she should, if she has to, if what's happening. And I remember I read that article. I'm like, damn, like I'm more confused now. I don't know what to do. And then I just thought to myself, hey, it might not be important to me. It might not be something that I need to do for me. But imagine if I can help one person, like the person that I was when I was 11 years old. Imagine if someone like that person sees the tweet and says, hey, it's okay. It's okay to be bisexual. It's okay to have these feelings. So in a sense, I did it more for the people, the younger people who, look to me for advice or maybe for, knowledge, and they see this and like, oh, okay, cool. it's fine. That is why I did it for the most part. There was a part that, it was for me, but for the most part, it was for the other people who were seeing that tweet. And speaking of mental health, I feel like, if anything, that took this weight that was still on my shoulders just completely off. And like, yeah, you know what? This is who I am, and that's it. And if you want to be close to me, that's awesome. That's great. If you don't, that's also great. Goodbye. So I feel coming out might come with a lot of baggage, and you might have to confront people, and people will confront you, and people will leave, and people will be nasty. But what you gain from it, I feel, far like outweighs these bad things by far. So yeah.
And I guess just to piggyback off of that a little bit, for me, I had a lot of inner fear and anxiety before I came out on Twitch specifically, because I was trying my best to be this person that was creating a space for people to be loved and accepted for who they were, but I wasn't being who I was. And so it kind of created this like dichotomy of interests. And basically, for me, like, the thing that it really helped me was getting more LGBTQI plus people in my life that kind of helped me navigate that situation. And I think, like, for me, being loved for who you truly are, kind of piggybacking off what you just said, being loved for who you truly are is worth way more than any sort of fear of rejection from anyone, right? And I think it's really hard to internalize that and accept that, on when you're on the other side of coming out. But once you're over the bridge and you've kind of gone through that process, it's a lot easier to accept. And I don't know, it's important for me to say, I guess.
For me, so I was in a very similar situation, like Bloody, thinking like, does it even pay out? I was dating my now husband at the time. I'm like, well, what does it help? But like, what does it bring me personally if I do this now? But now, after having these talks, and after learning everything about bisexual erasure, and I really, really wanted to be this, like I wanted to be an experience that others could draw from, especially my community, and knowing how many, like, I'm surely not the only one affected, and having met so many people being affected by bisexual erasure, I really found it so important for me and my community to do this, and to be myself, and to be upfront, and to tell people about the experience I made first and foremost, so others could relate to it, and again, have that like safe space creation where people can relate to.
Yeah, for me it's the same thing. Like, just having friends really helps. That's the big thing. If I didn't have friends, I wouldn't be here now. LGBT friends and people who support me. So definitely the same thing as all of you. So
Yeah, I think it's really important to kind of acknowledge the fact that mental health plays a huge part in this. Like, it's one of those things where we often forget to look at how we're feeling and how we're processing everything, when what we're trying to get out is like, this is me, like, but I also have to take care of me in the same process. And that's something that is really tough for a lot of people when they're going through that journey, and even while they're still going through that journey. We all still are going through that journey now. And it's so important to take that check back, and like make sure that we're actually taking care of ourselves, and cultivating those spaces of care for our community members, for people who want to come out and feel safe as well. So that's really it's really important to kind of talk about the mental health aspect of it too. So I really like that. The last question I wanted to ask everybody today to get their thoughts and opinions on was, if you had advice for someone who is looking to come out, who has not already come out, what sorts of things would you tell them, from your own experiences, or something that you've seen, as far as like something that would be, you feel, helpful to them in that process?
Well, you go first.
Dave. No, okay,
Oh,
okay. I'm gonna say something real short. I was privileged enough and lucky enough to be in a spot in my life where, you know, I could do that without any consequences, really. Meaning I was not kicked out of my place for doing that or anything like that, you know. But I know that a lot of people do not have, you know, share the same luck. And I would say my advice would be have a support system, find your people, find the people who will be there to support you because you will need them, and let these people carry you, you know. Just do what you got to do and let these people carry you for however long you need, because you're going to need them. And that's it. Find your people, find your friends, hold them close, and everything's going to be just fine.
Well, piggybacking off what Buddy Pastor said, it's that same thing. And honestly, because I have friends that have different takes on this, like, no, come out today, come out now. And it's like that they mean well, but I just want to say if you choose to come out on your own time where you feel comfortable, because I'm sure we all know there are cases where people have been kicked out of the house or they aren't able to deal, or like bad things can happen occasionally with that. It's like come out when you feel comfortable, when you have that support system, when you're able to support yourself, what's best for you. For me, you know, I was taking care of myself, streaming, working, etc. So like me coming out, I know that if I had nobody, I still could take care of myself. So, you know, use wisdom, make sure you're comfortable and not being pressured to do so. But I can say whenever that point is, if that point happens sooner or later, that coming out definitely for me has made me feel more comfortable in regards to people in my life. They like me because of me, because you know this already about me, you know. So it's a good experience.
Yeah, just
For me,
oh,
yeah,
sorry,
it's
my bad.
oh, mine's pretty quick. So I would say you don't have to come out. Don't feel like don't feel pressured to come out. It's not like you have to. I personally only came out to friends, not to family. I don't feel the need to. That's okay. You don't have to come out to everyone. And definitely, like everyone said, find your friends, find your community. I personally have helped a lot of people come out of as ACE, 3 this year even, which is crazy. Like, just because I put myself out there, and they're finally learning about it through my streams. And they send me a message, ask me like, is this like, you know, to validate their experiences, and just me talking about it really helps. So I think definitely if you find someone who can help, send them a message. Anyone in Rainbow Arcade as well, they're all really cool. So you know, if you're going through a tough time, send a message, a tweet. It's always good. It always helps.
Yeah, I was just gonna say same going along with all that. Like just take your time in understanding like yourself, and just, you know, be wise of the world that we live in. And although it's getting better over time, it's still gonna take, you know, a while. So it's really important to continue to pay attention to your surroundings, be observant. I know one thing I pride myself on is just being kind of a really laid back and observant person. So if you chill and just wait, and to see what kind of environments you're in, it'll make you more aware of safe spaces for you once you figure yourself out and have the confidence in yourself. um, just paying attention to your surroundings, finding those safe spaces to go, and just understanding that, you know, the world we live in still has a ways to go. So just being mindful, and finding the resources, and knowing where to go to get those resources.
One last thing. You are not lesser than, and you're not less part of the community if you're not come out. That's all.
And just to piggyback off of that, everyone has their own journey and your path is unique, and that is okay. Whatever path you need to take for you is the one that you should take. Period. End of story.
Mm-hmm.
Echoing everything y'all just said. But I want to thank you guys so much for joining us for the Coming Out Live on Twitch panel. Again, my name is Krev, and I'm joined by these fantastic panelists. Please make sure you guys go individually follow all of the fantastic people. I'm going to give them each a second real quick just to shout out their socials and that kind of stuff real quick. And then we'll be wrapping up for the next panel, which is going to be Queer AF branding as LGBTQIA+2. All right, so let's start with Bloody and go top to bottom. So Bloody, feel free to let them know where they can find you.
Hi, you can find me on twitch.tv/bloodyfaster, bloodyfaster TV on Twitter. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was an amazing time, an amazing panel, and I hope the rest of the panels are amazing today, which they will be. They will be. Thank you so much. I love all of you.
Definitely. Oh, sorry.
Dubu?
So I'm Dubuseo on Twitch and Twitter. You can find me there, and that's about it.
Topes?
Yeah, so Topaz like the birthstone, but everybody just calls me Topes. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at _Topes. Here on Twitch at Topes TV. You know, we have a cute little community. We love Apex, and we just, you know, big goofballs all the time, and we love to laugh, and that's me, and that's it.
Dave?
Hey, I'm Data Dave. Love saying my phrase. Day to day with Data Dave. You can find Twitch content every day at Data Dave. On Twitter, Data Dave TV. So look forward to getting to know everybody.
Ella?
Is it my turn now? Sorry. My name is Ella, Cafe Ella on Twitch. You can also find me on YouTube now, just Cafe Ella. We do cozy Pokemon Nintendo content, and I would love to have you.
And Kyle?
I am Kinetic on Twitter and Twitch. You can find me slaying some fools in DBD. Thank you for having me.
I love it.
Oh, wow.
No, I need to step up my fan game.
No.
I couldn't
All
get
right,
through
guys.
this without thorping this once.
Yeah. And my name is Krev. I go by KrevLM on Twitch and KrevLM TV on Twitter. I play mostly Final Fantasy 14 and indie titles as well. Thank you guys again very much for joining us, and we look forward to catching you all in the next panels coming up. Hope y'all have a fantastic and very gay day.
Yay.
Yay!